Hello guys, I'm Nelson from Nel City Technologies. Welcome back to another interesting video. So if you are a new subscriber, you are very much welcome to our channel, and to our loyal clients and viewers, thank you so much for the support to this far. So today we want to do a simple video on the things you should consider when you're purchasing a laptop as a student. You want to purchase a computer or a laptop. There are factors you need to consider when you're on a budget and you want to buy a laptop. Hope you watch to the end and learn something from our video. Kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel. We'll start by why would you need to buy a laptop? So laptop is very essential for daily activities. It may be typing, research, you want to do your research on something, you want to do your coding practice, you want to do design, Photoshop designs and so on. You need a good laptop. So as a student, you need to consider some things. We are considering a factor that you are on a budget, let's say 25,000. What kind of laptop will you go for in the Kenyan market with 25,000 Kenyan shillings? So let's dive right in, look at those factors and see. At the end of this video, if you don't have a laptop, you should be able to get to know the factors that will help you. Consider what you want to do when purchasing a laptop, that kind of task you want to perform with that laptop. That will help you to make the right choice concerning the kind of laptop you want to buy. A major factor is looking at the processor of the laptop. We have different types of processors. For example, the Ryzen, we have the AMD, we have Intel Celeron, Core i3, i5, i7 and Core i9. So you need to look at the kind of processor. Let's say, as an example, buying a Core i9 laptop will save you a lot because the processor is stronger compared to a Core i7 or Core i5. So buying a Core i3 laptop will save you compared to buying an Intel Celeron processor. So you have to look at. But remember, in this case we are on a limited budget, so we'll still look at some other factors that you need to consider. Going for an i9 will be very expensive compared to going for an i5, but depending on the task you want to do, you can go for an i5 or an i3 or even an Intel Celeron if I'm just to go typing. So for the case of typing, I just need something basic to help me out. So secondly, we also need to look at the type of storage. By type of storage, we have SSD and hard disk. We did a video on comparing the SSD types and hard disk type and how they work. So you can go and reference to that video. So buying a laptop with an SSD will be far much better because SSD is reliable and helps boost the laptop speed as compared to having a laptop with hard disk. So look at our previous video and learn the differences between SSD, hard disk and the advantages of both and which one to go for when you need what. So kindly look at that video. So another thing, we'll look at the size of RAM. So size of RAM is the random memory basically. So the RAM will boost your speed. The higher the RAM, the better the performance. Okay, so as an example, my laptop has an 8 GB RAM size, but a client's laptop has 4 GB RAM size. So my laptop will perform better when multitasking than the other one which has 4 GB or 2 GB, because the larger the RAM, the better the ability to perform and the better the multitasking process of that laptop. So at least 4 GB RAM is good. So 2 GB is way low. Rather you go for at least 4 GB, but recommended size nowadays is 8 GB. Another thing you need to consider is the quality of the webcam. This will be majorly for those who normally hold frequent online classes, online meetings. You need to install Zoom in your laptop, or you need to use Google Meet or Teams. So you need a good quality webcam. Normally, the camera that is located at this point of the laptop, at the center. So some laptops will have this webcam, some will not. So ensure you look at that. Especially for those doing NEC exams, you need the laptop that has a webcam, because it is also part of the requirement in the NEC exams. You need to consider the portability of that laptop. So we have some laptops that are so big, so large, that carrying them around is an issue. But remember, the larger the laptop, the cheaper it is. The portable the laptop, the more expensive it is. So those are some of the things you need to consider, whether you need a big laptop or a smaller laptop. Number two, you find there are those people who normally need a 15.6 inch laptop or 17.6 inch laptop, because it has the Numlock keyboard, as compared to the 14 inch, the 12.5 and 11.6. They normally don't have the Numlock part of the keyboard. So that's also a factor to consider, especially if you are too much into typing services or typing activities. Let's say those who normally do online writing, you need to have a laptop where you are comfortable with the keys. They are not too hard for you to use them. So that's also another consideration. Another thing, you need to consider the type of ports on that laptop. Currently, you find the current laptops, most of them normally have the Type-C port. You find it has 2 Type-C ports, and there are no other USB ports. So you'll be forced to buy an external docking system or adapters. When buying a laptop, some laptops will not have the normal USB ports, will not have the HDMI port. Some will not even have the audio jack port. So you'll be forced to go an extra mile to buy an external docking system or external ports like this one. Now, when I insert it on the Type-C port like this, so I'll be having Type-C port, USB, a normal USB port, 2 of them, an HDMI port, and Ethernet port. So you find this one you'll now be forced to go an extra mile or out of your budget to buy something like this. So when buying the laptop, kindly look at the types of port you need for your work. If you don't need them, you go for that kind of laptop. If you need to be using an HDMI port frequently, you'll be forced to look at the laptop that has an HDMI or a display port, depending on which type you need. You'll need to consider the battery life of that laptop. So it depends. Okay, that will depend on the budget you have. Someone maybe will have a budget of buying a second-hand laptop, as an example. So you'll find, if I have, let's say, as an example, 5,000 Kenyan shillings, you'll find I've gone for a laptop with no battery. So it means I'll be forced to be using it only when there is electrical power, because the battery inside cannot store power. So that will also be a factor depending on the budget. Is my budget worth buying a new laptop? No. Is my budget worth buying a refurbished laptop? No. Is my budget worth a second-hand laptop? Yes. Now, the second-hand laptop, what are the defects that it's having? Is battery among them? So, check if the battery is okay or not. Even for a refurbished laptop, check. Is the battery life okay? So if it's okay, you can go for it. And even for new laptops, battery life is also another factor, because you'll be able to use the laptop even when there's a blackout, because the laptop can store power for some time for you to be able to make your work easy during the blackout time. Lastly, I need you to remember your budget will give you a certain type of laptop. So depending on the budget you have, you'll go for specific laptop requirements. So when you come to Nailseed Technologies, before you purchase, we normally guide the client on what to look for at which budget. So the decision will now be based on the client, from what they've learned, from what they've seen on the specs of the different laptops we have. Look at your budget, then look at some of the factors you need to have within that budget, so that when you're purchasing, you now have a clue of the range of, okay, for some budget you'll find you'll not meet all these requirements. Maybe I have, let's say as an example, I have 15,000, and so I'll be forced to just buy a basic laptop for my daily activities. But now the basic laptops may not be able to do other factors like Photoshop, Archicad, and so on and so forth. So the more the budget, the more the specs or better features you'll get in a laptop. Okay. The next thing I'll be looking at is the categories. So in categories we have different ranges. So one, you can go for used laptops. The best point would be buying from a friend whom you've seen them with that laptop for a period of time. Maybe you know the problems it has, that you won't mind using it with those problems. Unlike buying a used laptop from someone you don't know, you find other used laptop may be having cases like they've been stolen from somewhere. So be keen when buying a used laptop. So another category we'll be looking at is the factory refurbished laptops. So these are laptops maybe someone bought them as new, then they are returned back to the industry and reconditioned. They look at, maybe it got to have a faulty keyboard, they replaced, then they are taken back to the market. The last category is the new laptops. So you find new means you are the first user of that laptop, but they are generally expensive. So you find the used ones are very cheap, the factory refurbished ones are mid-range, then the new ones are generally expensive. We want to look at the category budget-wise, and the first category we'll look at under 20k, under 20,000 Kenyan shillings. What do you get? So basically at this range, these are just basic laptops or second-hand laptops, majorly for typing, just some light work, typing, research, watching some videos, and browsing. So as an example, with a budget of 15,000, you get something like this one. This Lenovo 11E. Lenovo 11E. So Intel Pentium. It has 4GB RAM and 128GB SSD. And also its touchscreen, it's X360 because you can flip it over this way. So basically, this laptop is for performing simple tasks like typing. You can use this to browse, you can use this to watch, you can use this for online meetings, because as I said, the webcam is at located at this point. So you can't use this laptop for Archicad because Archicad or Photoshop software is heavy and needs 1. A lot of RAM, 2. A strong processor. So that's another factor to consider. What's the intended purpose of that laptop? Another category is a budget between 20k to 30k. 20,000 Kenyan shillings to 30,000 Kenyan shillings. So with this budget, you now get a refurbished laptop, an XK laptop, where you can do some of your light work, some light graphics, some coding activities. In this category, you can get something like 840 G3. For example, this Lenovo 6th Gen Core i5, 2.5 GHz, 8 GB, and 256. So this one you can do some coding with it, you can do some light graphics work with it, and also generally some multitasking activities because it will perform at ease. So if you get a Core i7, processor will even be better than a Core i5, so it will make your tasks even more easier. Another range is between 30 to 40k. So you find these are slightly newer models. The 8th gen like 840 HP EliteBook, 840 G6, whether it's an i5, whether it's an i7. So you find these are slightly newer models. You find most HP with the new logos will be in that range. Also, you find that you can also get some great Chromebooks at this budget, new Chromebooks. So another budget will be around 40 to 50k. So here you get entry level new laptops. Some will be Intel i3, maybe 13th gen or something like that. And lastly, a budget of 50k plus, let's say as an example 75k. You'll get a very good new laptop with good specs, very recent new generations. So your budget will determine what you get in the market. The lower the budget, the lower the specs. The higher the budget, the higher the specs. So for an average student, let's say an IT student, if you get a budget of 20 to 30k is okay for a refurbished laptop. Ensure the processor at least Core i5, look at the RAM at least 8 GB. Ensure it has SSD for better performance and reliability of that laptop. The size will all depend on what you require. Do you need a bigger screen or a smaller screen? But ensure the other major specifications are met. At a higher budget, you get a better laptop. For example, those who normally do gaming, they'll need a very high-end laptop with extra graphics card. So at a budget of around, let's say 75,000 to around 120, you get a very good laptop. We'll now look at some mistakes people make when buying a laptop. One of them is storage. People think the bigger the storage, the better the laptop. As an example, someone would rather buy a 1 terabyte hard disk storage of a laptop than a 128 GB SSD storage, because they are looking at this one is a bigger storage, the other one is small. So that makes someone buy a weaker laptop, because you can find, as an example, there are two laptops shown online, 128 GB SSD Core i5 and Intel Celeron 1 terabyte hard disk of storage. So you find someone would rather go for the 1 terabyte because it's a bigger storage, not considering the work they are going to do with that laptop. Another mistake is people don't check out whether the laptop has a webcam, the quality of the webcam. people don't look at the ports. So at the end of the day, you go for an extra budget buying other peripherals that you should have considered at the time of purchase. The last mistake people make is buying the laptop basing on looks, how it looks like. You find some will see a laptop is red and they fall in love with the red color without considering the specifications of that laptop. Some love blue just because the color is smart, so they'll go for it. Other people go for a laptop because it's big. It's 17-inch, I want that one, not considering the specifications of that laptop. Hoping you are learning something. Any questions, give us in the comment section. Another accessory you need is the laptop stand or a cooling pad. So the purpose of this is to generally help in cooling of the laptop. So you can either get something like this one. So this is a laptop stand, or you can get those with fan. Another accessory you need is a mouse. External mouse help make your work easy, especially those doing designs. You can move around the cursor easily as compared to the touchpad. Also, after purchasing the laptop, you need to consider some factors that will help the longevity of your laptop during the usage process. We did a video on how to take care of your laptop. Another accessory you need is purchasing an antivirus. Okay, mostly Windows normally come with the Windows Defender, but that's normally not enough. Kindly consider buying something like Kaspersky antivirus or the Norton antivirus or Bitdefender, because they'll help you during your online activities. There are some viruses online or from sharing flash disks, so you need to be protected. Have an antivirus installed in your laptop. I hope to this point there is something you've learned. So I'll give a general overview of some of the budgeted laptops that you can have to perform some coding, some graphics works. Yes, so one of the samples is what we looked at, the Lenovo L470 6th gen. Good laptop for multitasking, basic graphic designs, coding for an IT student. Another one is the HP EliteBook 840 G3. It's also 6th gen, while the HP EliteBook 840 G4 is 7th gen. So you can consider purchasing i7 or i5, but ensure it has 8 GB RAM and 256 GB of SSD. For the Dell lovers, we also have 7480. It's also 6th gen, Core i5 with 2.0 GHz speed, 8 GB RAM, 256 GB SSD. This is also good for someone on a tight budget and you want to do some multitasking activities. The HP Folio 1040 G3, it's 6th gen also, Core i5, 2.50 GHz speed, 16 GB RAM and 256. So someone going for the 16 GB RAM is very much okay for multitasking. So I've just choose same examples of laptops within the 6th gen category. So we have those in the 8th gen category, like the HP 840 G6, also a very good laptop, but it all depends on your budget. As we finalize, there are some tips you need to do after purchasing your laptops. We did a video on the same. The link is on the comment section. Ensure you don't overcharge your laptop or overdrain your laptop. Ensure you don't use it on the bed because of the cooling. The laptops need to cool. So for other tips, kindly go watch our video, and if there are any questions, kindly contact us or visit our shop at Nail City Technologies. Our number is right there. Having watched our video, kindly contact us if you want to buy quality laptops with warranty. We sell a variety of laptops, from basic ones to high-end laptops, from refurbished laptops to new laptops. Feel free to contact us. For delivery services, we deliver free countrywide. Contact us from the number posted here and we'll deliver quality products. Or you can visit our shop at Ambwere Furaha, first floor, Kakamega Town.